Welcome to the March 14, 2024 meeting of the Elkhart City Board of Zoning Appeals. Open the meeting. Our meeting procedures, obviously you're here, you can speak in person here. The only video comments that we are taking at this time is on WebEx. You can watch the meeting on Facebook, but you cannot comment on Facebook. If you're here or on WebEx, make sure you speak up and identify yourself before you begin to speak. With the microphone here, make sure you speak right into the microphone. You got to speak loudly and clearly so that the meeting is recorded so that we can write down everything that happens during the meeting. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to review and consider all requests for relief from any standard in the zoning ordinance, including variances, use variances, special exceptions, conditional use requests, and administrative appeals. All of the cases heard tonight will have a positive, negative, or no decision made by the board. If no decision is made, the petition will be set for another hearing. If a decision is made that you disagree with, either as the petitioner or an interested party, you must file for an appeal of the board's decision no later than 30 days after the decision is made in an appropriate court. If you think you may potentially want to appeal a decision of this board, you must give this board a written appearance before the hearing. If you are here in person, a sign-in sheet is provided which will act as an appearance. You should sign this sheet if you want to speak, but also if you do not wish to speak but might want to appeal our decision. If you are appearing by WebEx, please put your name and address in the comment section, and that will serve as the appearance. A written petition that is set for hearing tonight satisfies that requirement for the petitioner. If you file your later than 30 days after the decision of this board, no written appearance tonight, you may not appeal the board's decision. Because the rules on appeal are statutory and specific on what you can do, the board highly suggests you seek legal advice. If you are the petitioner, in addition to filing an appeal, you may first file a motion for rehearing within 14 days of the board's decision. Mike, make sure you speak directly. Can't hear you, we will remind you. All right, at this time we'll take the roll call.
Lavondra Rickoff.
Here.
Leichman.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Mulvaney.
Here. All right. I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Election of officers for 2024. Do I hear any motions from the floor? Chairperson. The officer. Let's start out with the president.
President, I nominate Doug Valani for president.
Accept. Any other nominations for president? Close the nominations for president. For vice president, do I hear a nomination? I'll nominate Janet.
Evangelica.
Evangelica, thank you. I'll get the whole thing down. All right.
Someday, right?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, there are no further nominations. And for board secretary, we have board members. Faylene, where's? I would nominate Faylene as secretary. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other nominations? Close nominations. At this time, I'll just take a vote in the affirmative to accept the nominations as presented. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? All right, we have new officers. The minutes for January and February 2024 are being tabled till next month. Here, a motion to approve the proofs of public.
So moved.
Second.
Second, and all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, proofs of publication are approved. We had one item of new business, 24 BZA 03. That is being tabled to next month as well. So jumping into new business, the first item of new business is 24 UV 03.
Having trouble hearing you.
Mute button up here. It wasn't me. Let me put this up.
I'll try.
Now
try
try it.
Ah,
Should I try
Somebody
again?
played
There
with
we
the
go.
button up here. I did not touch the
I
mute
just didn't think you
button.
wanted to hear me.
I was told not to touch it.
Okay, the petitioner is Frank Thompson. The request is to amend case 23 UV06, which permitted one tattoo artist to operate in the hair salon, to allow additional tattoo artists to operate in the salon. This request varies from section 15.2 permitted uses in the CBD Central Business District to allow for a tattoo parlor. Tattoo parlors are not permitted in the Central Business District.
Would you like to come forward and tell us what you would like us to do?
Hi, my name's Catherine Beck, and I have a vested interest in the main event hair design downtown Elkhart. Thank you for allowing me to speak regarding the request for zoning change. Revenue for the main event would definitely increase were we able to add a couple tattoo artists. Currently, the studio is very much in the red with just one artist and several hairstylists. The business plan shows it is no longer feasible to continue along this line. The plan is to keep the exterior of the building up to and above the city's standards, and the inside would need to be restructured a little bit with stylish chairs and tables being moved to accommodate the artists that would be added. We would like to also maybe change a little bit with the tables and chairs to provide art classes in the future. We have talented artists in the community that have reached out and would like to teach some of the art classes. We have had interest from in-state and out-of-state to also come and lead some classes. And tattoos really aren't what they were 30, 20, even 10 years ago. Some folks think that a studio will potentially bring in undesirable people. Fact is, since being approved to the tattoo studio in June of 23, there has not been one negative incident reported. The typical clientele in the studio mainly hold professional positions in our community. The normal client pays an average of $120 to $150 an hour for a tattoo, and most common tattoos take 2 to 5 hours to complete. Certain tattoos can even require much more time than that, and they are paying a premium for the upscale services at main event. I can't imagine that our clients having any type of negative influence in the area. I see them as an asset. Since a tattoo can take several hours, I'd imagine that the clients and whomever accompanies them would need to visit the local businesses in order to eat, have a drink, or whatever may happen. I believe when you agree to the requested zoning change, you will be helping us complement the area and remain a viable asset to the community. And also, we want to be able to continue to keep the building open for business. Thank you for your consideration.
Any questions for the petitioner?
well, I know my husband will be
We're not saying totally phase out the hairstylist.
Good, he'll be glad to hear that.
Will your hours of operation change at all?
Right now, Tiffany,
If I may, the hours of operation will,
Get a little bit closer to the microphone, please.
if I may, the hours of operation will stay as listed on the Google website from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you very much. All right, at this time, I will open the public meeting. Is there anyone here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in favor of the petition?
Hello, thank you so much. I
Make sure you identify yourself by name again.
Okay. My name is Tiffany Bowman, and I live at 1901 Oslo Road, Lot 37, 46514. I just wanted to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tiffany, and I am the tattoo artist approved to work at Main Event Tattoo and Hair. And since July of 2023, I've had the privilege of serving the community through my work at Main Event Tattoo and Hair. In this time, I've dedicated myself not just to the art of tattooing, but to setting an entirely new standard of customer service and professionalism in the tattoo industry. It is my belief that the tattoo studio can be more than just a place for art. It can be a cornerstone of community and a hub of creativity. Since I've started, I've striven to improve every aspect of our service, and I'm proud to say that our efforts have borne fruit. We've raised our business rating on Google from a 4.3 in mid-2023 to a 4.8, reflecting our commitment to excellence and the satisfaction of our clients. I understand that there may be some concerns about the presence of a tattoo studio in the community. However, I assure you that we maintain the highest standards of safety and professionalism. We have implemented surveillance both inside and outside of the establishment to ensure a secure environment for our clients and community, making sure that everyone is safe and happy. In conclusion, I'm here to express my commitment to making Main Event Tattoo and Hair a positive force in Elkhart. We are not just decorating bodies, we're upholding an art form and fostering a safe, welcoming space for artistic expression. Thank you once again for allowing me to share my passion and vision with you all today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we don't take questions of people. We just take comments at this point. Is there anyone else here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in favor of the petition? Is there anyone here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in opposition to the petition? All right, hearing no further comments, seeing no further comments, I'll close the public meeting and call staff forward for the staff report.
The petitioner came before this body in October 2023 for use variance to allow the Main Event Hair Salon to add a tattoo artist. The request was approved, which allowed for the salon to have one artist in a corner of the main floor of the salon, case 23 UV06. Subsequent to that tattoo use variance approval, the department has not received any complaints related to the tattoo use. The petitioner indicates in the application material that the salon is planning on closing. The current request is asking for additional artists to utilize the area that will be vacated by the salon. Any renovations would require relevant permits and have to meet any applicable building codes. Similarly, the tattoo operation would be governed by the State of Indiana Department of Health and be required to meet all state regulations, including those governing bloodborne pathogens. The property has adequate parking for the proposed use, including 11 spaces in the rear plus curbside parking on Main Street. The tattoo shop will be by appointment only. Business will be carried out entirely indoors, and it is unlikely that they will have any negative effect on adjacent properties. The staff recommends approval of the use variance based on the following findings of fact. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community because the tattoo operation will be required to follow all state and local regulations. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the operation will be appointment only and conducted entirely indoors. Number 3, the need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property because a tattoo business is not permitted in the central business district. Number 4, the strict application of the terms of this ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property because it would restrict a limited use that is becoming more common in downtowns. And number 5, the approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan, which calls for the area to be developed with mixed uses. There were 24 letters mailed, 0 returned.
Questions for staff?
Eric, I don't know if you'll know this or not. I probably should have asked this before. Is there going to be any change in the signage? Is it going to be prominent that this is a tattoo parlor?
We have signage regulations that regulate the size and the area on the building. So any changes they would want to do would have to be accommodated in what we allow per ordinance.
Moving forward in the central business district, will other tattoo parlors be allowed, or is this going to be like a special exemption right now?
Every tattoo, currently in our ordinance, they are not listed as a permitted use, so any other tattoo business would have to come before the board.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? All right, thank you. This time I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve 24 UV03 and adopt the petitioner's documents and presentation together with the staff's finding of fact as the board's findings of fact in the present petition.
Been moved and seconded. This time call for the roll call vote.
Davis.
Yes.
Von
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Mulvaney.
Yes. All right. Variance is approved. All right, next item of business is 24 BZA 05.
The petitioner is 123 County Road 17, Elkhart LLC. The site location is 123 County Road 17. The request is to vary from sections 18.6 yard requirements in the M1 Limited Manufacturing District to allow for reduced side yard setback to 0 feet from the property line where 25 feet is required, a variance of 25 feet. Subsequent to the filing, the petitioner has reached out to staff and they wish to reduce the amount of their variance to a 5-foot variance, which would be a variance total of 20 feet.
Would the petitioner like to come forward and tell us what you propose to do?
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Floyd. I represent the petitioner. The current site right now is underdeveloped for a mini storage complex. We're looking to expand that complex into a phase 2. And if you've looked at the overall shape of the property, it kind of looks like a battleship. It's kind of really odd shaped. And looking at what we're hearing feedback-wise for the mini storage, if we could reduce the setbacks on the south line and the east line, that would give us a little bit more room to accommodate some of the other units, which is why we're here.
Questions for petitioner?
Have you gotten the easement from AEP that was?
AEP hasn't responded to our inquiry. Now, the road to the south of the property, there is an easement there already. And we actually have access to that via the plat. Talking to AEP long-term, as you know, they're currently changing their, I can't think of the word for the substation. Substation is moving to the north, one lap over. And I'm told they're expanding it from what this is discussions we've had with AEP last year. But they didn't say that that road was ever going to go away, what they were going to do with it, because they do have poles that run from 17 heading east behind the property owners along 120. Your one, on the east line? Okay.
Yeah, because one of the conditions the staff is requested is that approval be conditioned on getting that easement from AEP. Is that
Yeah.
going to be a problem?
No, because we actually talked. When I talked to Eric earlier in the week, it was presented two ways. If we kept the zero, they would really like, the city would like us to have that easement with AEP. But I called him on
5 feet,
Tuesday.
you wouldn't need it then.
No, we would not need it. If that gives us enough room, if we were to have to maintain anything on the back side of the units, but 5 feet will give us plenty of room because we'll still have the front and the other sides if we need to. Okay.
Probably got the cart before the.
It's okay. That's going to be later on.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This time, I will open the public meeting. Is there anyone here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in favor of the petition? Or anyone here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in opposition to the petition? Hearing no comments, seeing no comments, I'll close the public meeting and call staff forward for the staff report.
The petitioner's building self-storage units on the former Banks lumber site. The project is being built in 2 phases, moving from north to south. Phase 1 is currently under construction and is largely complete. Phase 2, which will be adjacent to the AEP property containing an ingress and egress easement. The site is irregular in shape, which does limit the number of structures that can be built on the property. Based on plans submitted, there would be 4 new buildings that would be built at the 0-foot setback. Historically, the AEP property has been used for accessing land on its boundary, and this request would be consistent with how AEP has been used in the past. Considering the AEP property will not have built structures on the land, a 0-foot setback seems reasonable. And again, this staff report was written for the original request. Staff does not have an issue with the 0-foot setback. And then I'm going to update this from the floor. We are not going to require the condition of requesting an additional easement for parking and in order to do the maintenance on the buildings, with the petitioner amending their request to the 5 feet. So we will take the condition out of our recommendation. So therefore, the staff recommends approval of the developmental variance based on the following findings of fact. Number 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community because the buildings will be built per all applicable building codes. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the setback will not substantially impact the way the property will be used. Number 3, granting the variance would be consistent with the intent and purpose of this ordinance as a measure of relief is allowed when warranted. Number 4, special conditions and circumstances do exist which are peculiar to the land involved because the shape of the property, it limits the density at which the site can be developed. Number 5, the strict application of the terms of this ordinance would result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Number 6, the special conditions and circumstances do not result from any action or inaction by the applicant. And number 7, the property does not lie within a designated flood hazard area. And again, staff, we are removing the condition. And there were 31 letters mailed, 0 returned.
Questions for staff? All right, thank you. This time I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve 24 BZA 05 and adopt the petitioner's documents and presentation together with the staff's findings of facts as the board's finding of facts in the present petition and adopting staff's condition.
No conditions on this one.
Order condition. I remove the motion for the petitions.
Very clear on what the motion is? Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, or a roll call at this time?
Bellinger, Rickoff,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Mulvaney.
Yes. It's granted. All right, next item of business is 24 UV04.
The petitioner is Herg Incorporated, Historic Elkhart River Queen Incorporated. The request is to vary from Section 7.2 permitted uses in the R4 multiple family dwelling district to allow for the demolition of 106 and 108 Bowers Court and used for a parking lot to provide off-street parking for the River Queen.
Petitioner here. Forward and tell us what you would like us to do.
Eric's tall. Good morning or good evening. My name's Tom Schaff. I'm the president of the Historic Elkhart River Queen, Inc. And if I could, for just a little bit, I want to give you a little history on the River Queen. Construction began in 1948. Red Maycumber was the original gentleman that built the Queen. He ran the boat for 25 years, and then his nephew took over, and I'm glad to see Mr. Smoker in the room tonight. Ed ran the boat for 22 years, and then he sold the boat to former Mayor Dick Moore and John Cleveland. They were a partnership, and that partnership ran until Dick became mayor, and then John ran the boat, in total 18 years. In 2014, John had a health setback, and the Queen was destined for the scrapyard. So a local businessman named Marley Ritson called me and said, Tom, if I buy the River Queen, will you run it as a volunteer? And I must have had a fever that day because I said yes. And so for the past 8 years, Stacy and I have been jointly managing the River Queen. HERQ is a not-for-profit organization formed in 2015. We have a board of 10 directors. The Elkhart River Queen is an Elkhart City icon. She'll be entering her 76th year of service this year. The Queen gives people an opportunity to enjoy our beautiful waterway. We specialize in milestone birthdays, and my audiovisual person's over there trying to get this right. There it is. This was a neat one. This lady's 80th birthday, and we had all of her friends hidden in the boat. And her husband stopped by and pretended to just show her the boat for a possible party down the road, and she was shocked. We also cater to anniversaries, wedding receptions. A lot of church groups use the Queen. The Amish love the River Queen, and we love to have them. Stacy and I are very fortunate to have a group of dedicated volunteers. There are no paid staff on the River Queen, for the River Queen. I want to give you a little history now of parking. For 15 years or so, while the Alex property was abandoned, the River Queen's passengers parked, and that would have been where the condos are now. So the passengers parked there, and then for 3 or 4 years, we used that when we were running the Queen. And then the condos obviously caused us to lose our parking privileges, so we moved across the river to American Park. And while that's not an ideal place to park, it worked for a little while, but one Sunday afternoon I got a call from Mayor Rod who said, hey Tom, are you parking cars on the island? And I said yes, and he said, you can't do that. The bridge that goes over to that island is not designed to handle that much traffic. So we were having to look again. In fact, I had 2 more conversations with Bradley Tracy about that issue and the bridge, and we just found it wasn't feasible to continue to use the island. So I walked down the street to Bill Zimmerman, who owns Wally Mill Zimmerman Funeral Home, and Bill was kind enough to say, yes, your passengers can park in our parking lot. And then I know this is very small for you guys to see, but he cut the curb on the side of his parking lot, and we purchased a group of golf carts, and we would transport our passengers down the alley, across the street, down this alley, across Marine Avenue, come down Marine Avenue, get on the sidewalk, and go up Bowers Court with our passengers. Again, not ideal, but we were able to get that done that way. Last December, I was approached by a fellow that owned 3 homes on Bowers Court, 102, 106, and 108 Bowers Court. And he just simply was tired of being in the landlord business, and we had several donors purchase those houses for us and donate them to the River Queen. All 3. Yep, that's okay. But my next paragraph was going to say, we entered into a contract with JPR Engineering. They're a great firm. And our initial plan was to tear down all 3 homes. But after JPR looked at it, he said, Tom, you really only need to take down 2, 108 and 106, and that will get you done what you need to do for parking. So we rented, and this worked out real well. This couple that lived in 106, you know, I jokingly called them and said, Merry Christmas, I'm throwing you out of your house. And then when I learned that we didn't need to take all 3 down, I offered 102 to them, so they are renting 102 from the River Queen now. So that worked out well for all of us. I should say that in the 8 years that Stacy and I have been managing the Queen, the public has donated over $500,000 in upgrade costs to modernize her. Last year we put in a brand new propulsion system, which is just wonderful. We actually have brakes now. We are asking you to approve this request tonight, and for several reasons. Probably the number one reason is public safety. If we can take the golf carts out of the mix in this thing, we will reduce the risk of a collision when we're crossing streets, especially coming back in the twilight hours. So we'll get the golf carts out of the mix. There'll be a lot less traffic on Bowers Court. Your approval will remove dozens of trips that we have to make with the golf carts, where with the parking lot, a group of 4 people will pull in with 1 car, park, and walk to the Queen 50 feet to the dock. We also believe it's going to reduce the congestion on Bowers Court. As it stands now, when the boat returns, everybody is ready to get off at the same time. Well, they stand around at the boat dock because we have 4 carts and we're making multiple trips to ferry people back to Wally Mills. Many times, those folks will walk through neighbors' yards. I see Eric and his wife sitting back here. It's happened to him. We don't encourage anybody to walk through yards, but they do on their own, and this will eliminate any of that. And then finally, if you approve this, this is a special bonus for us. We will be able to offer handicap parking for the first time. In the past, if someone arrived at Wally Mills with a walker or with a wheelchair, we would strap that onto the back of a golf cart and put them in another seat, put them in a seat, and take them over to the Queen. We'll actually have some dedicated handicap parking for the first time. The City Public Works and JPR recommended we put down a permeable surface so that the water drains right through, and we won't have any problem with water or drainage. That's all I have. May I answer any questions? Well, he said we can put up to 50 in there, but on an average, Janet, it's 25 cars, but we'll have parking for 50.
Goes out, there's 25 cars.
Yeah, 50 people, 40 to 50 people, and it's usually 2 per car. Yeah. An event parking, rather than your typical parking lot where you have individual spaces, our intention, can you go the aerial for me, Stace? Of the houses? Okay, so this square right here, this square is where the parking would be. And we will have attendants. The people that drove the golf carts are still going to stay or volunteer. People will pull in and make an immediate right. Once they go past 102, they'll make an immediate right, drive down, go along the back, and come out where their front end is out facing Bowers Court. And we'll line the cars up that way, because everybody's coming back. No one's coming back sooner than the boat than the boat's getting back there. So we'll have them all lined up, and then when they depart, it'll be a nice, easy. Everybody goes out straight out. There won't be anybody backing out like if we were to have a conventional parking lot. I don't know if this was going to be your next question. We average about 30 cruises a season. We run from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So 1 or 2 cruises a week, and then all the other time, there won't be any traffic with regards to the River Queen, other than when we go down and check the boat. I mean, in the wintertime, we'll go down once or twice a month and check the boat, but all through the winter, that parking lot will not be used. It'll be a quiet road.
Questions?
Yes, I have several. Your hours of operation for those cruises, I got your daily use, or your 1 to 2 times a week, but what are your hours?
Yeah, we really let people pick their cruise times.
Okay.
The Fridays and Saturday cruises are normally 6 to 9 after work.
Okay.
Sunday afternoon, typically 2 to 4. And then we have a number of bus tours that like to rent it during the week, and that would be like 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., somewhere in there. Our cruises average 2 hours.
Okay. And then you talked a little bit about the parking surface itself. You said something permeable, so are you thinking like gravel, rock, something
No,
like that?
it's a product that is called.
You don't have to get too specific. It's not like asphalt or anything.
It's not asphalt, but it's a product that they have a form that they lay down and roll over with a steamroller, and then they pour this stuff into that form that creates the hard surface, but the rainwater runs right through it.
Okay. And my last question, you said there were 4 houses total that you purchased?
No,
or were
we
there just the
purchased
3?
three houses.
Okay, got it then.
102, 106, and 108. We only want to take down 2.
Okay, and is there a house between where the parking lot would be and the river itself? I can't quite
Yes,
tell.
there's 110 Bowers Court is the actual home that was there with the dock.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
A couple of years ago, we had approved the different kind of permeable paver. And what happened to that?
Right.
It got too expensive, or?
No, that was for this property here. Again, this house is owned by Mr. Smoker, and then this house is owned by Nancy Pletcher. And they had entered an agreement with us to allow us to park on this area. Doug, we ran into a number of challenges with tech review on setback, on curbing, and on this, and and our board just said, you know, Tom, we're not going to own these properties. Maybe we shouldn't proceed with this since we didn't know. What's nice about our plan, our request tonight is this solves our problem. You know, we will own the property and we'll have a permanent solution for her parking.
I'm not sure I understood what you were saying about
110 is the original there's the original red brick house that's here. There's one gentleman that lives in it. He's a renter. His name's Jim McFall.
Okay, so there is someone in there that's not affiliated with you or the... Okay.
Yes, yeah. Although Jim helps us out a lot. He's a volunteer and he checks on the boat and keeps an eye out. There's also a boathouse on the property, which is right there. And that we have our refrigerators and freezers in to keep our supplies and so forth. Ice maker.
But you don't own the property, but you've got it.
We do not own it. I'm sure that's going to come up in the next person that comes up here.
Feel satisfied that the three properties will take care of your parking issue?
I do. I think the two houses that we take down will. And I wish we could blow this up for you, but these yards go back 90 feet, so they're deep properties. And once we get them down and the trees down, that's better, Stace, we'll be able to really see what kind of room. But yeah, we're confident, Ron, that we'll be able to make this work.
Thank you. Any other questions?
One last one. The trees you said you are going to take down there, do you have to take all of them down? Just out of curiosity.
No. In fact, part of most of these trees are on the boundary line.
Okay.
So we will certainly still have, Mrs. Pletcher will still have a buffer from the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, Mrs. Pletcher's house is a rental as well. Everything on this road except Rhonda Tavernier's house are rental homes, are rental properties. These two in the front are multiple rentals, quadplexes.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, at this time, I will open the public meeting. Is there anyone here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in favor of the petition?
Good evening. My name is Dwight Fish. I live at 1627 Elizabeth Street. I rise in favor of this, and I'll tell you my short story. I've been a passenger, but I've also been a tour guide. And years ago, I started doing bus tours for the Quilt Gardens, which we're very successful at, and River Queen became part of that cycle of experience for our out-of-towners. I've been involved in some other tours also, and it's always fun. The River Queen is quite a statement when you look at Elkhart and what we offer to public. But if you look at the experience of river activity around the country, and believe me, I've been around this country in my short lifetime. No, I thought I was going to get a laugh out of somebody. I've been in Portland, I've been in San Antonio, I've been in London, England, I've been in other river cities around the country where they are focusing their efforts to manage an experience like this. And when you have an opportunity for parking, you should take it. When you have to deal with buses or large quantities of automobiles, you're reducing the chances for accident and injury by managing the safety part of this. And that's where I see the biggest benefit. We're going to take a helter-skelter experience of parking and managing to find a place here and there and get it focused in a safe manner, in a controlled manner, and help the River Queen have a much more safe experience, if you will. All of the people that come to town that I've interacted with always brag about the River Queen. It's quite an event, and I'm sure a lot of people here have been on it, and they know the history. So I would say, please pass this, and I think it's a good idea to be able to keep an experience like this moving forward, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the petition? All right, is there oh, got one more person.
Hello, I'm Jeff Wells. Lived on the river most of my life. I kind of knew Red Maycomber. There's a picture that Tom likes to hang in a boat. I was about 16 years old and had my arm around Red, and I'm a lot older than that now, and it's a tremendous asset for Elkhart, and this parking will make it work a whole lot better. So I just wanted to say that. I can't improve upon what Tom has said because he said it very well, as this other gentleman also, but it's a good thing. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor? All right, is there anyone here in person or in WebEx who wishes to speak in opposition to the petition?
All right.
I am the attorney.
Need to speak up. I
sorry.
cannot hear you.
My name is Amber Bressler. I am the attorney for the Edward Smoker Revocable Living Trust of Elkhart County, and this is Edward Smoker. And I'm going to let my client begin, and then I have some comments.
Yes, my name's Ed Smoker, and I object very much to tearing these houses down. It ruins the value of my home, something terrible. Value of the girl next door, turnover, 122 Marine, and then Nancy Pletcher, east of the house, 116 Marine, no, 116 East Jackson. And I wrote a letter to Tom back on 1/25/23. I'm sorry for being so late in answering the first refusal and buying my property at 110 Bar Court. My answer is the same as my attorney enclosed a copy of her letter. I would like to comment on the River Queen. The best and wisest place for the River Queen is right where it is right now. Best advertisement right by the County Road 17 bridge, where it can be easily seen. Accessibility can be made from the south edge of the bridge on County Road 17, and plenty of space for parking called Sunset Lane. You can, you and your buddies need to buy that property. That will be money to the wise to instead of paying taxes, put money in buying Sunset Lane. I love the River Queen, but it's time to be smart and on location. 110 Bar Court is too much congestion this day and age and are getting way too congested. It's terrible. The traffic is just unbelievable from 2 o'clock on to almost 6. And by tearing these homes down, it lowers the value of something terrible. I have real compassion for my neighbors and for people that own the property, and I'm really against this whole thing. It's terrible. There's lots of places you can take the River Queen. When I owned it, those 22 years, used in the Heights building, where it protrudes out in the water, a lot of times if they missed the boat, I could drive on the east side of the property and pick people up. And they also have parking there too. And there's no reason why the River Queen can't be removed from this area. It's too congested in this area. It's terrible. I hope you understand all that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. By the way, the reason why I have been home, I've had a heart bypass, and this is my 7th month. And I do live there on 110 Bar Court. That's my home. I have a friend I've been helping out. He's been staying there, okay? And I try to get there during the day if I can, but it's been pretty bad for me right now for my heart bypass, okay? Thank you very much.
Good evening. I represent Mr. Smoker and Mr. Smoker's trust. Mr. Smoker does reside at 110 Bower Court. That property is owned by his trust. That trust has a license agreement with the River Queen. Pursuant to that license agreement, it's an annual license. It's renewable every year. Back in January, Mr. Smoker's trust sent notice to the River Queen that they were not going to renew the license going forward. So that license with the River Queen actually expires at the end of this month. The River Queen has been notified that we are not going to, or the trust is not going to renew the license. So the River Queen has been notified that the license is going to terminate and the River Queen will have to relocate. I think that's very germane, and I think that was left out of the petition and the presentation this evening to the board. So the River Queen will not be at 110 Bower and will not be able to use that property going forward, rendering the need for parking moot. But assuming that the River Queen was going to be there, I think that there are some things that we need to discuss with regard to the petition. As this board knows, the Elkhart City zoning ordinance clearly states that the Board of Zoning Appeals can only grant a use variance if the petitioner shows several things, and they're very clear. The petitioner has the burden of proof to show that the approval of the use variance will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and the community general welfare. The petitioner has to show that the use and value of the adjacent area will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The petitioner has to show that there's a need for the variance arises from a condition peculiar to the property involved in the variance petition. The petitioner has to show that the strict application of the ordinance will constitute unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought, and the petitioner has to show that approval of the variance petition does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. Those 5 requirements echo the statute verbatim. And when we look at how Indiana's appellate courts have addressed those factors, the appellate courts have defined what constitutes the peculiarity requirement, and they have said, look, we look at the specific features of the property, not what the petitioner wants to do with the property. You know, we look at things like water runoff or accessibility to property, not how we want to use our property. The Court of Appeals has looked at and defined unnecessary hardship, and they have said that unnecessary hardship means that the property cannot reasonably be put to a conforming use because of the limitations imposed by the ordinance. They said that we have to show that the petitioner has to show that the land involved cannot yield a reasonable return if it's used only for the allowed, excuse me, I've got something in my throat. But the Court of Appeals has said that the petitioner must show that the land involved cannot yield a reasonable return if it is used only for the allowed zoned purpose, meaning that the owner can't get a reasonable return on their land because of the zoning limitations. Well, we know that's not true. There are houses there. The Court of Appeals has also said that the petitioner in seeking a use variance has to show that the use authorized will not alter, will not alter the essential character of the locality, so that they come in and they have to say, look, if you allow us this variance, it's not going to change the neighborhood. It is. They're going to knock down houses and put in parking lots. That's contrary to what the Court of Appeals says that they're allowed to do. We say they have not met their burden, and we're objecting to the variance. I understand that the River Queen has been around for a really long time. I've been on the River Queen myself. I enjoy the River Queen. But when we look at what is acceptable as far as an inquiry for a use variance, and when you evaluate whether or not the petitioner has met the burden under the law, I'm sorry, the River Queen hasn't. There is a very specific set of criteria that the law and the Court of Appeals has said that we look at. There are very specific criteria under the zoning ordinance that you're supposed to evaluate, and the burden of proof is on the petitioner. And the petitioner just simply has not met their burden. And if the petitioner has not met their burden, then the board is supposed to deny that petition. It's not supposed to be whether or not we like the River Queen. It's not supposed to be whether or not, we have great pictures. It's not supposed to be whether or not the petition tugs at our heartstrings. It is supposed to be whether or not the petitioner has met the burden of proof, whether or not, those factors have been met. That's not occurred here. And because it has not, the petitioner has not met their burden of proof, the board is compelled to say no. It's not because we don't like the River Queen. It's not because it's not a great time. It's not because it's not a community asset. It's because the law is very clear. We are supposed to evaluate these petitions under a certain set of criteria and a certain rubric. And if the petitioner has not met all of those elements, then it compels one decision, and that decision is no. And that's what the board has to do under the law. And that's why we are here asking for a no vote. That's why we're here objecting to the petition. And so we are asking for the board to do what the board is compelled to do under both the city's zoning ordinance, under state statute, and to deny the petition. River Queen has not met their burden of proof. And like I said, we are here objecting on behalf of not only the Ed Smoker Revocable Living Trust, who owns 110 Bower, but the neighbors. I know they have concerns, which I believe you're going to hear some of those. And so we ask for a no vote based on the petition. We don't think that they've met the burden of proof. And I also do have copies of the license agreement and the notice of the termination, if the board would like to review those.
Thank you.
May I ask you a question? Or is that okay right now? No?
Go ahead.
Oh, you stated that the property value would decrease if other houses were torn down and a parking lot would be put in. Do you have proof of that? Like, how do you guys decide that besides your feeling of houses being torn down? Like, do you have examples of other areas where this has happened?
With all due respect, under the law, that is not our burden.
Okay.
The burden of proof to show, we don't have to show that the.
Well, I was just asking because that was one of your arguments, so that was my question to you.
No, I know, but when you look at the case law, the burden of proof is actually on the petitioner to show that their proposed use would not adversely affect property values of the surrounding adjacent properties.
I understand.
Yeah.
I was just asking because you guys mentioned it also.
Well, and I know that that's one of the concerns that Mr. Smoker has. But we don't have to show that it would. It is on the petitioner to show it would not, but with all due respect. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else here in person or in WebEx who wishes to speak in opposition to the petition?
My name is Amber Mahaffey. I'm at 128 Marine Avenue, right next to the River Queen. When we first moved in there, the River Queen was not in the water. We had beautiful scenery. It was a quiet neighborhood. Bowers Court is a very small one-way street. I mean, our kids ride our bikes down that road. It's just a very quiet neighborhood. And the River Queen moved in, and it was a whole different story. And while I love a party, you know, it's not great to live next to a party boat. So we've had tons of issues, as Tom brought up, people in our yards. At one point, they were driving their golf carts through our yards. You know, I won't get into a whole big list of grievances, but if you can imagine living next to the River Queen and having that in your backyard, it's not the greatest. And it can be dangerous, frankly, I think, for my 3 children in our backyard to have strangers constantly sort of assuming that's River Queen property, our backyard. It's been quite a hindrance on just our everyday life. You know, we can be gardening and then a whole battalion of cars and people will just descend on our neighborhood. It's quite disturbing. But anyway, so I am opposing this for several reasons. One, it's a nuisance living next to the River Queen. But 2, we're in a housing crisis. Like, why are we tearing down homes? I knew the 3 people who lived, the families who lived in those houses. One was a single mother with 2 children. She was in a serious bind to find a new place when she got the notification. She had to find a new home. And I guess we found accommodations for one of those families, but another person ultimately was kicked out of their home. And I'm also a little bit confused since Ed is not renewing his lease with them. how many other people are going to be pushed out of their homes? Like, I guess I don't understand why we're here if the River Queen needs to find a new home anyway. But yeah, we're in a housing crisis. Like, we don't need to be destroying neighborhoods. You know, this is affordable housing, as he said. You know, it's mainly rental properties in this area. We're in a housing crisis. We should not be doing this, especially with all the homeless people roaming around. Do we need to create more? Anyway, so we're basically destroying our neighborhood here. We're turning it from a quiet neighborhood into a bustling commercial area. That will reduce property values. I've worked in commercial appraisals. I did that for years. I know for a fact, I feel like that's common knowledge, that if you put a business next to a house, it's going to bring down the property values. I mean, I don't know. But I worked in appraisals, so I know this. That's my justification for saying that it would bring down property values, as well as kicking people out of their homes. And then, I mean, just the timing of it all, bringing about buying these homes or acquiring these properties while Ed is in the hospital and sick, it just seemed really opportunistic. Like, Tom, frankly, is waiting to get his hands on Ed's property. And it's really quite shady. Anyway, I oppose it for multiple reasons, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any other persons who wish to speak in opposition to the petition?
I'm just going to keep this simple. My name is Rob Smoker. I'm Ed's kind of middle son. My brother is on here as well. He wanted me to read a letter, but I guess, first of all, since I was born, I've been a part of the River Queen. Tom's a great guy. The River Queen has been a part of my life and a legacy of my family in the area. And Tom's right, it's been kind of an icon of Elkhart. However, times change. People change, and it's a matter of the River Queen basically needs to find a new home, and we are here to help the River Queen find that home if we can. But the biggest thing is tearing down the homes. We've got it in the trust, the legacy of these houses. We've got 3-4 rental properties in the area that are part of myself, my sister Kim, my other brothers and sisters that are around the area. They're in our names as well. And the people that are our renters, that would affect basically our chances of renting these properties. I don't think people want to live by a parking lot or by a high traffic area. But I mean, like I said, times change, people change, and I need to actually basically read this letter from my brother. He's couldn't really figure out the technology here to be on WebEx, but he is stating that to the planning and zoning area, I'm opposed to the demolition of 106 and 108 Bowers Court homes for the creation of parking lot. This residential neighborhood and the destruction of homes and creating a parking lot will both lower the value of surrounding homes and the neighborhood atmosphere. The purpose of parking lot for the HEROQ to have extra parking lot, that's the purpose for it. However, Ed Smoker, my father, and owner of 110 Bowers Court, where the River Queen is currently docked, has decided not to renew the lease for the River Queen to remain in operation at that location. We're recommending the River Queen move to a vacant lot next to Six-Pan Bridge, where they dry docked to work on the River Queen last year. That would make the purpose of new parking lot at 108 and 106 Bowers Court unneeded. Our position is there is already too much traffic on Jackson Street, and added ingress, egress of concentrated groups of vehicles for specific event in time will raise the chances of an accident and hamper the flow of traffic on Jackson Street. Also, Bowers Court is little more than an alleyway that is narrow and not completely perpendicular to Jackson Street, making right turns off Jackson Street difficult for a bus or longer vehicles. And I can attest to that. It's very difficult to get out in traffic, especially when it's 5 o'clock, or even on the weekends on certain times when the factories let out about probably between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturdays. In the past, the city had given permission for the patrons of the River Queen to park in American Park, walk over to the River Queen, therefore not affecting traffic on Jackson Street. The current owner of HER, however you pronounce that, HERQ, contends that the city will not allow parking at American Park anymore because the bridge is unsafe. I believe the operation of the River Queen were to continue at the present location, money would be better spent allocated repairing the bridge at American Park to use an existing parking lot that doesn't affect traffic on Jackson Street. One other point I would like to make, there is already a lack of affordable housing, especially near the river, and loss of 2 more homes in the area won't help. These homes have been continuously lived in for a long time, and demand for housing near the river is high. I can attest to that. My father and I, we don't charge an arm and a leg. For instance, the house that Eric and his wife, who's here, that they live in, 2,400 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, $1,000 a month on the river, okay? On the river with a slip. The house next door to the River Queen, actually in between, there's a white house in between, and then there's a brown house that my dad and I built. It was kind of an A-frame house back in the 90s. $600 for the front apartment, and I believe, Dad, what did you charge for the back one? $800. Now, that is a pretty big apartment that faces the river and has its own boat slip. And then the house down on Bowers Court towards the end, that is about $725 a month. And that is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, full yard. I mean, it's a pretty nice area. So, yeah, so that's it in a nutshell of what I have to say. What? Oh, sorry, charges $550 for that house. So, and I know I've got rental property in Mishawaka owing $650 a month for a 3-bedroom, a 2-bath, right by Penn High School. I mean, when the going rate in that area is $1,500 a month for a house that's 986 square feet, equivalent to what we have. So we want to make sure people can afford their houses, and that's the gist. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in opposition?
Hello, my name's Andrew Cohen, 906 East Jackson Boulevard, apartment number 1, Elkhart. I moved here about 2 years ago, and assume we add to the mix this parking lot. Assume all 50 people show up and they park their car there. It's going to just further escalate how bad that traffic is around that intersection. And by the way, the address I mentioned, it's the Jackson and Bowers Court, the same street the River Queen resides on. I'm on the very corner of Bowers and Jackson, and there's been a fair share of crashes there recently. Just, I can't imagine adding over the weekends another 50 cars there. Also, that crash thing was my biggest topic. I just saw that recently. This was like this weekend. There was one, people getting rear-ended or people hauling way too fast down that road. It's currently, you know, of course they tried to mitigate this issue by having a police officer posted there for speed checks. Eventually they're not going to be posted there anymore, so people go back to just speeding through, and it wouldn't be good to have that parking lot there. Do I have to sign this? Sorry. But also, Yeah, I don't want to see a parking lot there. It's currently peaceful enough for me. I don't plan on moving anytime soon. But, you know, personally, I don't mind taking care of the River Queen sign. I have to mow the lawn occasionally. I don't mind that at all, but I'm not in support of this parking lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other persons to speak in opposition?
I'm Kim Cummings. I'm Ed Smoker's daughter, the one that lives right at the River Queen property. I just also want to add that alcohol is served on the River Queen. And I've been on that boat my whole life. So I know what happens when people get off that boat. When they walked, they would have to walk away from the boat. Not everybody was trashed, but you know, you do get people that slip off that you can't keep your eyes on. Having a parking lot right there where there's children, not to mention the fact that it isn't just, it is, from what I understand, it's $1,500 for a couple hours, rent the boat, something like that. It's not even accessible for public, for the regular Joe to rent that boat out. So, I mean, it's like, it's just dangerous. It's dangerous to have a parking lot right there, especially if everybody's trying to leave at once. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Eric Harris. I just wanted to pose a question to the four of you. Have you ever been on Bowers Court or Marine Avenue? At what time of day do you think?
Daytime.
I live in the.
Did you find it quite busy? Multiple times a day? We deal with it daily, and it's bad enough without a parking lot. I just want everybody to think, what would it be like with one? My wife already mentioned the kids and the people that it's putting out. It is creating affordable housing. We're living proof. Cutting us off from that would have hurt, especially over COVID. And a lot of people there rely on Ed. It would be a shame to see more accidents and more congestion. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Tabitha Kiner, 822 East Jackson, Elkhart, right on the corner of Jackson and Marine. I can't really say anything that they haven't said. I just wanted to say I don't agree with it because Marine is obviously crazy enough and with the extra traffic. And the River Queen is not in business, but not running more often than it is running. So that's just going to be an empty parking lot. So, and that just doesn't look good for the neighborhood, I don't feel. I don't know about the depreciation. That's not my area of expertise. But we have a lot of kids in our neighborhood. And I know from being on the River Queen, serving alcohol and, you know, getting off the boat and then driving and maybe the fresh air walking to your car a little bit or is a little bit better than just getting in a car and driving. So that's my opinion. I don't agree with it. So. And can I also say the amount of time that we got the letter to agree or disagree and in the time it had to be put back in the mail, especially with our mail nowadays, there was not a lot of time in that. So I don't know how that works, but maybe next give a little bit more notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Forgot to sign this. I'll be really quick.
Yes, I'm going to call you forward here in a moment. So, in fact, right now. You've already spoken, Mrs. Dayton. Do you have something additional? Okay.
Board that the city zoning ordinance says that the board.
And make sure you speak
Oh,
up. I'm having a hard time hearing
Yeah,
you.
I'm sorry. The city zoning ordinance authorizes the board to grant the variance only if the approval is not injurious to the community general welfare. I would submit that the comments that you've heard from the community, the people that actually live in the neighborhood, saying that this would harm them in their houses, their welfare, I think that's prima facie evidence that it's injurious to the community welfare.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Schaaf, you can come forward. One of the key items I would like you to address, and then you're free to address the other ones, is the licensing issue. If you don't have a license to use the property to park the River Queen, what does that do to your need for parking if you can't even park it there anymore?
I now know what it feels like to be keel hauled. I'll certainly address that question first. We got the letter to terminate the license. When I called Mr. Smoker to chat with him about that, because it was a complete surprise to us, he said, well, I want to sell that property for $500,000. And he instructed me to deal with his son Jeff, who Rob is the brother that's here. Jeff lives in Arizona. He instructed me to contact Jeff for any further discussion about this. I gave Jeff a call, and he confirmed, yep, the selling price would be $500,000. That's probably 3 times what the property's worth. One of my board members then took over those negotiations with Jeff, and then last week we were contacted by Mr. Smoker's realtors, who also said, the property is for sale. Would you spend $500,000 for the property? And our board member told the realtor, and I also told the realtor, this isn't hearsay, that it would take us some time to raise $500,000. Could we get an extension until July 31st? And that was the discussion that I left off with his realtor as of this past Monday. Does that answer that question for you? Okay. I believe we're going to come to an agreement on the purchase of the property eventually. Now, I do want to, if I may, address a couple of things. I did get Ed's letter 2 years ago suggesting we move to County Road 17. Can you pull up that, please? Hugo, is she still able to share? It doesn't involve the letter. Okay. So we put the boat at County Road 17, the picture of the boat on the lot, Stacy. We had to take her out. This is a piece of property that is west of County Road 17. It's in a cul-de-sac off Sunset Lane. The county commissioners allowed us to put the boat there at no charge so we could change her propulsion system out. Had to take her out of the water to do that. When I got Mr. Smoker's letter suggesting County Road 17, actually Stacy and I were on a trip, and I kind of thought, well, you know what, that's not a bad idea. So I contacted Hellman Architecture, and I sent them this little mock-up of how I would foresee this being. So there's your bridge. We'd have parking. We'd have a utility building for our refrigerators, some restrooms, and so forth. Then I asked for a meeting with the county commissioners, and they granted that, and I had Jeff Hellman create this more cleaner mock-up of what we had planned. When we got to the county commissioner's office, they gave us a list of reasons why we could not use this property. Number one, it's not for sale. Number two, they're intending to build another bridge next to the County Road 17 bridge, similar to like Johnson Street Bridge. Johnson Street's really two bridges. So that would eliminate our ability to have any parking in here, okay? So they said, okay, well, if we take your parking away, then I said, well, where would our passengers park? Well, they park at the boat launch across County Road 17. Now, you guys know that we can't have people walking across County Road 17. So I said to the commissioners, how are we going to get the passengers across the river? Well, we'll have them walk down this little sidewalk here, and you guys can put a floating pier in underneath the bridge. A floating pier, I got a quote on it, it's $175,000, but nonetheless, I can't see our elderly passengers trying to navigate a floating dock, especially at nighttime. The next reason why we can't put the Queen here is that there is a tributary. If my media person can get that picture up. There we go. This tributary, this one right here is I took this photo looking from the River Queen where she was sitting on the standards. This is to the south of her. And then this picture I took behind the marathon station on County Road 120. So this tributary runs down through here, comes down this way, and runs right into where that property is. When we dug a pole for our temporary power, we hit water at 30 inches. So the water table there is extremely shallow, and that's why they can't build it. I couldn't put a service structure there, even if I was allowed to use the property. Okay, Queen at sale, please. Okay. I guess I want to talk about Amber's thing first. Amber and Eric, they are Mr. Smoker's renters. They have been renting from him for quite some time. Mike Smith's also a renter. I'm surprised he's not here tonight. Their children use our dock as a playground. So I don't know why she's concerned about traffic in that area when her kids are all over that boat dock all the time. Their home is on Marine. Their driveway comes in off of Marine Avenue. So their traffic issue wouldn't be affected at all. The houses she talked about, the two houses that were taken down were built in 1910. They are in terrible condition. So quality of living there in both of those houses is not very high. As far as kicking out the single mother, Brooke notified us when we purchased those houses, or when they were donated to us. Brooke notified us she was moving out in February because her husband had left her and she couldn't afford to live there any longer. So I let her stay there a month longer without any rent paid, so she could get her place. She's got a beautiful mobile home off of County Road 7. And I even rented a U-Haul truck last Saturday to help her move the rest of her things. She had a washer and dryer and some other things, and I hired some guys to help her move out of there. The American Park issue I already discussed. Mrs. Cummings, talking about alcohol. Back in the days, and I followed that boat when I was a 10-year-old boy. I grew up on the river, and I followed that boat and my John boat my whole life. The fact that I ended up running the thing is just ironic to me anyway. But people were allowed to bring their own alcohol on board back in the old days. So there were kegs and kegs of beer. Mr. Smoker can tell you that. And there was a lot of drinking and a lot of partying on that boat. There's no question. When we took that boat over, we filed a request with the Alcohol Tobacco Commission to obtain our license. We went through training on alcohol service. Stacy happens to be the bartender on the River Queen. I can't think of any time when and Stacy and I are on every cruise. So for the last 8 years, every time that boat's went out, we've been on it. I can't think of one time where someone got inebriated or had to be taken off or walked off of that boat. We watch that very carefully, and in the 2 hours that you're out there, I mean, people are not pounding drinks, and we're selling them. You know, a beer is $8, so it's not like you're going to be able to pound a bunch of drinks. You know, I know Amber has said injurious. I have to prove that I'm not injurious. She said that 4 times. I don't think there'd be any injury at all to the neighbors. I think Eric and Amber will still continue to rent from Mr. Smoker. All the other people that are there will continue to rent. So I find some of their reasoning skewed a bit.
Thank you. All right. This time I'll close the public meeting and I will call staff forward for the staff report. Now we have closed the public comment section. Sorry. Ed, we have closed.
What's wrong with 2404 East Jackson? That he can park the boat there. Park the boat there.
Then public meeting is over. Sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Write my name down here.
You can sign if just as long as you sign before the end of the night. Yes. You can come up and sign now if you need to sign. This. All right, staff, your turn.
The petitioners own 2 residential lots in the 100 block of Bowers Court. The plan is to raise the existing structures and build a parking area for patrons of the River Queen. The River Queen is an amenity on the St. Joe River that provides tours and is available for rent for events. The River Queen has traditionally faced a challenge for parking as there is no parking lots in the adjacent area adequate for usage of its clientele. The proposed parking lot will allow parking within a block of where the people board the boat. Currently, passengers are shuttled from Wally Mills Zimmerman parking lot across public rights-of-way by golf carts, as there are no other alternatives for parking within several block radius. The site plan will be required to be submitted for technical review. At this point, the design is conceptual. A detailed design has not been completed as of the writing of this report. A previous approval was granted in 2022, case number 22 UV13, for a permeable paver lot around the corner in the 900 block of East Jackson Boulevard. That plan has been abandoned for financial reasons. Patrons of the River Queen will be directed to park on the lot, walk down along Bowers Court north of the River Queen, or north to the River Queen. It is planned for cars to be stacked in a tandem fashion as the cruise times are set, with all passengers arriving within a short window of time and leaving within a short window of time. While generally commercial lots are discouraged in residential areas, the proposed lot is located on a dead-end street with extremely low traffic. It will be used occasionally and not have the same amount of traffic as many commercial uses have. With the proposed parking lot several lots off East Jackson Boulevard, this will allow for the lot to blend into the neighborhood. Staff recommends approval of the developmental the use variance based on the following findings of fact. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community because the lot will be constructed to city standards. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the pavers will allow the lot to blend within the neighborhood. Number 3, granting the variance would be consistent with the intent and purpose of this ordinance because it allows for some measure of relief when warranted. And number 4, the strict application of the term of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the site because the River Queen does not have access to a parking lot. And number 5, special conditions and circumstances do not result from any action or inaction by the applicant. There were 30 letters mailed, 2 returned in favor, 6 returned not in favor, with the following comments. The first is the letter from Mr. Smoker's attorney. Then with the following comments, I'm sorry for being so late answering the first refusal for buying my property at 110 Bowers Court. My answer is the same as my attorney. Enclosed is a copy of her letter. I would like to comment on the River Queen. The best and wisest place for the River Queen is right where it is now. Best advertisement, right by the County Road 17 bridge where it can be easily seen. Accessibility made from the south edge of the bridge along Sunset Lane. It goes on to say, I do love the River Queen, but it's time to be on a location. 110 Bowers Court is much too congested in this day and age. Property values surrounding the Bowers Court will decrease. Very congested traffic area, not a place for public access and parking lots. Decrease in value of the homes, more traffic in and out onto Jackson. We've lived here for 24 years and there's never been a problem with parking before. What happens to the parking lot when the River Queen isn't here? There's been more than one occasion when they have talked to us about the River Queen not running or the River Queen has been broken down. Then it's just an empty lot. The gentleman's name is Mr. Smith. He resides at 116 Marine. He's lived on this road for 11 years. He rents my home and property. I would like to voice my opinion in this matter. There are several small children in line in this neighborhood. I have observed them and enjoyed them over the years, parking in years and riding on their bikes up and down the Bowers Court. Except for the boat traffic on the season, although some very drivers respect the road and laws, many consider the road a racetrack. The location is a dead-end street. In addition to the negligence of travelers on the road, there is alcohol sold on the boat, and it adds to the already wounded drive. Also, the congestion of Bowers Court exiting from the parking lot onto Jackson Boulevard will intensify. I've witnessed several collisions over the years. This is the letter, I believe, that Mr. Smoker's, this is from Jeff Smoker. His brother, I believe, read the letter already, but if you'd like me to read it again, I can.
Fine.
That's it.
Questions for staff?
Were you aware of this whole situation?
I was not.
Get together and talk, and we back in a month, and right in the middle of negotiations.
That would be entirely up to the board to make that
Yeah, 'cause
decision.
if there's no license, then the reason for the variance no longer exists. So that's an issue. Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I would. I move that we table this, vote for another month. That's probably all I need to say, but I would say offline maybe that I would hope that you all could talk and work. That would be our fervent.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded? Oh.
No, I just want to get a date certain. I apologize. I want to make sure we got the right date for April 11th.
Table until the purchase, they figure out they're purchasing the property?
I think we need to set a date.
Oh, whatever the next meeting is, it should be.
Yes.
Something out, or it's never going to be worked out, and, whatever, if we can just have some.
So we have a motion and a second to table. Call the roll call on that?
Lykeman,
Yes.
Davis, Wondrikoff,
Yes.
Mulvaney.
Yes. So what that does is puts it on hold for a month, because obviously with the issue of the license being revoked and the use of the property in question, that would certainly have to be resolved before we are able to act on a variance, because if there's no agreement on a license or ownership of the property, then the variance wouldn't even be applicable, because there'd be no reason for the variance, because the sole reason for the variance is for the parking for the River Queen if the River Queen's not there. So we set it for the 11th, and please see what you can do, and then we'll be back here and see where things are at. All right, next item, 2024 UV05.
The petitioner is MS Investment Corporation. The request is to vary from section 4.2 permitted uses in the R1 one-family dwelling district to allow for the former disabled American veterans building to be used for ADEC's day programming and skills training, therapy services, employment services, youth programming, as well as services that support the mission of ADEC.
Good evening, Chris Kingsley, CEO at ADEC. I am authorized to petition on behalf of this use variance. We are in purchase agreement with MS Investments for the property there at 1205 Middleton Run Road. ADEC has been in business 72 years as a nonprofit, Elkhart-born nonprofit with the mission of serving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, which I'll refer to as IDDs. We do a variety of services to support positive outcomes and fulfillment, both for the population that we serve as well as for the loved ones and family members of people with IDDs in our community. This property is, we've been looking for a property for day programming as well as for enhancing our skills and training program that we do to prepare people for employment readiness that we serve. We saw this property originally early last year before MS Investments acquired it, and then when we found out that there might be interest in selling, we jumped at it because it is by far the most conducive thing we've found for what we do in years of searching for it. So the property's size is really conducive to outdoor activities, which is important for us. That is important for health and welfare. The parking and area for pickup and drop off, obviously for our services, transportation is a big deal. Pickup and drop off is important. The use is that we're proposing, I think, is really consistent with the historic use of that property, serving a special needs population. I think very similar types of traffic flow to what you would have seen in the past. Certainly, I think, in terms of the burden of the 5 criteria, we feel that this meets those criteria. And I think there's decades of history to prove that it's not injurious to the public health. It's not going to reduce values. I think ADEC takes a lot of pride in our properties, and I think people can look at the properties that we have across both this county and the adjacent county and see that we keep them up well, we control them well. The services that we provide, we believe, are just critical, both, again, to the population that we serve and to the loved ones and caregivers for the people that we serve. So what we have in mind is day programming, which is structured, a structured, fulfilling day for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Skills and training, which is a program that we run, again, as kind of a bridge to employment relationships. So that program, you'll find, a variety of opportunities. A good example is a mock hotel room where people can practice housekeeping skills. There's a lot of different skills that we work on in that setting. The benefit of this building is it is already accessible. It was designed accessibly. It's a steel frame construction that allows for you to really customize the inside to meet things that we've learned over the years are best for the types of programming that we run. So we're really excited about the opportunity, and another real positive, it's right on the bus line. So we try to teach self-sufficiency skills in those programs, and so our staff are excited about even teaching transportation skills from that site. We will be also offering therapies out of there. Therapies we offer across the age range, music, recreational, and behavioral therapies. I think the wing that we can create in that building for those will really help that program and be a benefit to the program. And then it's a space that can be used for some office use and other ADEC programming, as there is need for that. Again, I think in terms of the criteria, we just feel like it stays pretty consistent with the historic use, and will really be a benefit, to our community and will help us further our work both in the day programming and therapies and skills and training work. So I would take any question.
Thank you. Any questions? Take a great opportunity. You guys do good work.
We're really excited about it.
This looks like a natural place for you guys.
We feel the same.
At this time, I will open up the public meeting. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the petition, either in person or on WebEx? Anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to the petition, either in person or on WebEx? Hearing no comments, seeing no comments, I'll close the public meeting and call staff forward for the staff report.
The petitioner is requesting a use variance to allow the former DAV Disabled American Veterans Building to be used by ADEC for the purpose of day programming, skills training, therapy services, employment services, youth programming, as well as other services that promote the mission of ADEC. From the perspective of the petitioner, the building lends itself quite well to the proposed use. With the historical use by the DAV, the building is largely barrier-free. The building has accessible restrooms, barrier-free entry, and an existing parking lot that will accommodate pickup and drop-off of clients without causing traffic issues on Middleton Run Road, while also leaving more than enough room for employee and guest parking. The former use was permitted by the special use action in Elkhart County to allow the DAV. The proposed use for ADEC will also be a tax-exempt organization. The location of the building also allows for those clients utilizing job skills training and employment services an opportunity to be sited within a large industrial area to further promote inclusion and greater self-sufficiency for clients for themselves with potential employers. Staff recognizes the benefit of the location for that purpose. Any modifications to the building will require building department review and approval. Submittal at technical review will not be required unless renovation plans require exterior changes to the footprint of the building or additional paving. Staff recommends approval of the use variance based on the following findings of fact. Number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community because the building will continue to be used as a place that provides services and fellowship to a population in need of specialized care. Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the proposed use by ADEC will not change the exterior of the building, create any additional traffic, or cause disruption to the neighborhood. Number three, the need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved because without board action, the use would not be permitted. Number four, the use or the strict application of the terms of this ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought because the building was constructed originally for the DAV and retrofitting the building into an industrial use would be a burden to the owner. Number five, the approval does not comply with the comprehensive plan, which calls for the area to be developed with industrial uses. However, the site was historically used as a facility that provided space for community gathering. The proposed use is similar in its mission. There were 10 letters sent, 1 returned not in favor with no comment.
All right, thank you. This time I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve 24-UV-05 and adopt the petitioner's documents and presentation together with the staff's finding of fact as the board's findings of fact in the present petition.
Moved and seconded. Call for the roll call vote.
Davis. Yes. Wondrikoff.
Yes.
Leichman.
Yes.
Mulvaney.
Yes, it's approved. Congratulations. All right, next item is 20X01.
The petitioner is Francisco Sesmas. The site location is 2006 Benham Avenue. The request is a special exception per section 5.3 special exception uses in the R2 one-family dwelling district to allow for a daycare center.
Petitioner would come forward and identify yourself. Make sure you sign in and tell us what you would like us to do.
My name is Francisco Sesmas, and my home address is 2018 on Benham Avenue. And I'm here to ask for a special exemption of 2006 Benham to be used as a daycare. The house is being completely remodeled. It's been renewed. Like everything is new on it, like drywall. All the permits have been pulled for every. My wife Maria, she's not here today. She's the one that takes care of all the daycares that we own. But the teachers that work for her, they go through all the courses and everything that they need, all the licensing and the things that I need. They do a very good job on taking care of the kids.
Helpful thing that you do.
I have one question. Are there houses, I read that you had other daycare centers on the same street. Are
there houses on?
Are houses on each side?
There is the one right by on the side. Yeah, it's a daycare center as well. And the one on the right side, it's a house.
Okay.
There's people living in the house.
Okay.
One is and one isn't.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, I'll open the public meeting and ask anybody here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in favor of the petition. Anyone here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in opposition to the petition? Hearing no comments, seeing no comments, I'll close the public meeting and call staff forward for the staff report.
The petitioners are submitting an application for a daycare at 2006 Benham Avenue. There are an existing 5 other daycares in the same block of Benham, also owned and operated by the petitioners. They have been able to expand and fill the childcare openings in part of the demonstrated need for daycare in Elkhart. The house in 2006 Benham is 1,032 square feet, built in 1950, according to Elkhart County Assessor records. The lot is 0.15 acres. At the writing of this report, staff had not yet visited the site, and I will say that this afternoon I did go. I normally would have done that earlier, but I did get into the house this afternoon, and we did our inspection, and the home looks incredible. They are ready for children, and Mr. Sesmas had also indicated that the state had already been there and done their inspection as well. So at the conclusion of this meeting, if you vote to approve, they will be ready to accept children. Information provided in the petition application that there would be some demolition of interior walls in the backyard will be fenced. They plan to apply for a Class 2 license with the state's Family and Social Services Administration, which allows for up to 16 children. Pickup and drop off for the facility will be handled from the alley on the east of the building. There is ample parking in the rear for employees. Based on information provided in the petition, they plan on enrolling in the Child and Adult Care Food Program to provide healthy meals. They are also become members of the National Association for Family Child Care. In terms of space, the house is adequate. The state requires a minimum of 560 square feet for a Class 2 license. The staff recommends approval of the request based on the following findings of fact. Number 1, the special exception is so defined, located, and proposed to be operated that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. Number 2, the special exception will not reduce values of other properties in its immediate vicinity because there will be no exterior changes to the existing building. Number 3, the special exception shall conform to the regulations of the zoning district in which it is to be located because it will not generate adverse effects on adjacent properties in the form of noise, smoke, or odor. Conditions. If the board chooses to approve the requested special exception, staff recommends that the following conditions be placed on the approval. Number one, the petitioner shall submit plans for the building renovations to the building department within 14 days of the approval and obtain permits for any work done there within 45 days of approval, which has already been completed. Number two, all children shall be restricted to the building and fenced-in play area except when arriving and leaving or on supervised walks or outings. Number three, the facility and grounds shall be kept clean at all times. Number four, the facility shall be subject to inspection upon reasonable notice by the zoning administrator during hours of operation. Number five, there shall be no exterior display, signs, or other forms of advertising on the premises. Number six, a copy of the child care home license shall be submitted to the Department of Planning and Zoning upon receipt from Indiana Family Social Services Administration. If the daycare ceases to operate for more than 1 year or the license is revoked, the special exception will become null and void. Number eight, any violation of the terms of the special exception as determined by the city zoning administrator shall render the special exception invalid. Number nine, there shall be a maximum of 16 children. Number 10, pickup and drop off shall be from the alley at the rear of the property. And number 11, the special exception is for 2 years and shall be reviewed as a staff item by the Board of Zoning Appeals by March 14, 2026. It also comes to the board with a due pass recommendation from the Plan Commission, and there were 24 letters mailed, 2 returned in favor with no comment, and 1 telephone call received not in favor, that the entire block is being turned into daycares and needs to stay residential.
Questions for staff? All right, thank you. All right, at this time, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve 24X01 and adopt the petitioner's documents and presentation together with the staff's finding of facts, the board finding of facts in the present petition, and adopting all conditions listed in the staff report.
Moved and seconded. This time I'd call for the roll call vote.
Davis.
Yes.
Wondrikoff. Blackman. Mulvaney.
Yes. Congratulations. Open up a daycare. Yes. You'll be back here. Actually, you won't need to come back. It'll be set every 2 years just for an automatic review by us. So it's just for us to keep tabs on what's going on. So
Thank you for doing what you do.
Case number 24X02. The petitioner is Balwinder Singh. The site location is 115 West Hively Avenue. The request is a special exception per section 12.3 special exception uses in the B2 Community Business District to allow for a public school.
all right, you may come forward.
Kurt Weimer, 51870 Winding Waters Lane, Elkhart, Indiana. Members of the board, thank you for hearing our petition today. For this petition, I represent Balwinder Singh, the owner of the property at 115 West Hively, and also the pending tenant, Premier Arts Academy, as the Director of Operations. We are asking for a special exception request for the property at 115 West Hively to allow for additional space for our public charter school to expand. We are currently at about 192 students in K through 6. We have 2 kindergartens and then 1 grade of the other grades. We occupy as renters at the Lifeline building. They had just completed that. We got in and it's been a great partnership with them. So we're in that building from offering before care from 6 o'clock until we start school at 8. We're done at 2:30. They start their programming for youth in the area until 6, and so it's one of the most well-used buildings in existence right now. So we are needing to expand. We just did our enrollment drive, and we more than have enough students to warrant another 5 classrooms to be added. However, that building doesn't really have the capacity to do that. The building just to the north, which is the old Blockbuster video / Payless shoes, however you want to look at that. It has 6,500 square feet, excuse me, and would allow us to put in 5 additional classrooms. We consider it an annex because we're not trying to duplicate a bunch of services like having another nurse's station, although we will have things of medical nature for things that we have to get to the kids quickly. We will have to add additional restrooms to accommodate another 120 students in that building, but we'll be able to share things like the cafeteria, food service, that sort of thing. So, probably the biggest thing for that area is that Blockbuster building has sat vacant for almost 5 years. The owner of that property also owns the 2 properties to the east as well. So we've been in regular discussions with him and his lawyer about how we can use that property and what that looks like for us. I do have some maps here if it helps you understand the difference between like the distance and everything else. So.
Just visualize distance-wise, how far is this property from Lifeline and the Premier Arts?
It's about 170 feet. Yeah. They will, and we are fortunate in how we've chosen to spend our money is we have a para in every classroom, and so that para will go between the buildings anytime there's a need for them to go back and forth. That back of the building, back of the Blockbuster building that is contiguous to our Lifeline building has a fence around it, but that back area is a little bit of a retention depression. It's not really a pond. I don't know that I've ever seen standing water in there, but we'll run a pathway that's on the other inside of the fence. Our drop off in the morning will be on the north side. There's a new parking lot that was put there as part of that property, so we should be able to contain all of our traffic as well as staggering some of our start and end times as well.
Any other questions? This time, I'll open the public meeting. Is there anyone here in person or on WebEx who wishes to speak in favor of the petition?
Hi, Amanda Garman, 12155 Fields Farm Court. I have 2 students that currently attend Premier Academy. As a mother of students who've been in multiple school districts in this area, Premier has went above and beyond with my kids. They not only meet them academically, but as far as behavior goes, some kids kind of have some quirks socially or in the classroom. They definitely recognize that. As far as academics go, they have met students personally for me, if they need a little bit more help with certain things or if they are excelling and need to be challenged a little more. I'm just really excited to see their opportunity to grow and do more for the community and have more kids within the school. I have 2 more that will be attending over the next couple of years, so we'll be stuck with them for quite a while. So I'm excited to see what they, are going to do with everything.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for staying this late to talk to.
No problem.
Yeah, she gets the biggest think in the room tonight.
Hi, I am Stacy Schultz, 23653 Greenleaf Boulevard. I'm also a parent at Premier Arts. I have a kindergarten child, as you can see, sitting with me, and a 6th grader. We have loved Premier. They have done a great job. My older child was in public school. She has done so much better where we're at now. I'm glad that this one has started and will continue on as they go up to 8th grade and they continue on. I think that the new building will be great, and I trust wholeheartedly that they will take care of my kids getting back and forth to the buildings, and we're all for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone to speak in opposition to the petition? Hearing no further comments, seeing no further comments, I'll call staff forward for the staff report.
The petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow the former commercial retail space to be used for classrooms, music space, and a dance studio. The property in question is 115 West Hively Avenue, is adjacent to the Premier Arts Academy at 2721 Prairie Street, which was approved for the use as a school in January of 2023. Due to the growth of the school, there is a need to accommodate additional classroom space for 5th, 6th, and 7th grades, serving up to an additional 125 students based on information provided in the petition submittal. In order to provide movement between the main campus and the building on Hively, a path will be constructed allowing students with supervision to move between the two buildings while keeping the existing fence. The pickup and drop off will remain on the at the campus on Prairie Street. Only late arrivals will be permitted at the Hively Avenue facility. Additionally, the same safety measures will be installed at the Hively building as the main campus building: security cameras both inside and out, electronic monitors for door safety and for door entry system, adult supervision of students moving between buildings, and an active early warning system. For additional security, appliques will be applied to the windows to limit visibility into the classrooms. With the growth of Premier Arts Academy, the proposed building on Hively is convenient and will allow for the growth at the school. The staff recommends approval of the request based on the following findings of fact. The special exception is so defined, located, and proposed to be operated that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. Number two, the special exception will not reduce the values of other properties in its immediate vicinity because it is a minor expansion of an already approved use. Number three, the special exception shall conform to the regulations of the zoning district in which it is to be located because it will not generate adverse effect on adjacent properties in the form of noise, smoke, or odor. Conditions: plans for all modifications to the building at 115 West Hively Avenue be submitted for review and approval to the building department to ensure all necessary requirements are met for the safety of occupants at the school. It comes to you with a due pass recommendation from the Plan Commission. At the Plan Commission meeting, the president of that board wanted to make sure that there were easements in place because it is a shared parking lot with the Blockbuster and the store next door. The petitioners did provide staff that information reflecting the easement between the two properties. However, at that time, staff found in that document that there were some prohibited uses within that private agreement between those two property owners. The petitioner's agent is currently working on addressing those use issues in that private agreement, and they will relay that to staff when that is complete. It has no bearing on the decision this evening because that is a private agreement between two property owners. It is not part of the request this evening, but I felt compelled to bring it up because it was part of the easement agreement document that was recorded for both properties. There were 7 letters mailed, 0 returned in favor, 1 not in favor with comments. It's a quite lengthy letter, and I will try and summarize. If you would like to read it or like me to read it verbatim, I will.
We'll enter the entire letter into the record, but if you want to just highlight it.
Pardon me?
We'll put the entire letter into the record, but for purposes of tonight, you can just summarize it.
Thank you. He has concerns that the property will sit less than 10 feet from the Handy Spot liquor store at 105 West Hively. Indiana code mandates that the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission not issue permit on the premises. And the wall premises is situated within 200 feet of the wall of the school. But he also goes on to say that the liquor store existed before the school was there. Talks about the safety, and the zoning ordinance does not regulate the distance between liquor stores and schools. His next concern is the school extension of crime. Being in the area, is widely known that many loiterers and disreputable people are constantly present around the Prairie Street Marathon gas station and the liquor store, and that there have been police calls and there have been a shooting in the area. He goes on to talk about high-speed chases and additional issues with crime in the area. My last concern is the use of the building. The building has been vacant for many years, and the community wants to see something done. With it, will guarantee the safety and the well-being of all who live there. He is optimistic that all inquiries have been made to buy or rent out 115 West Hively. He says, however, a gym, a restaurant, or a grocery store would be better suited to increase foot traffic and positivity to the area as the city of Elkhart is growing, and with the announcement of the Woodland Crossing Shopping Center expansion, the building should not sit vacant for much longer. He hopes that the board denies the petition for the request for the safety of the children.
Questions for staff? All right, thank you. This time I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve 24-X-02 and adopt the petitioner's documents and presentation together with the staff's finding of fact as the board's finding of fact in the present petition. And adopt all conditions listed in the staff report.
Moved and seconded. Call for the roll call.
Wonder Rickoff.
Yes.
Leichman. Davis.
Yes.
Mulvaney.
Yes. Well, build yourself more schools.
Yes, absolutely. Keep doing the good work.
Yes.
And keep the teachers out of the liquor store, okay?
That is pretty funny.
It is.
There you go.
Any other business from, Eric's going, no. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
We're done. Thank you.